Hamas has offered a 4-day truce extension. The truce so far in the Israel-Hamas war reunited more hostages and Palestinian prisoners with their families. Israelis gathered in large numbers to welcome the release of the 5th group of hostages. They were seen cheering and holding Israeli flags as vehicles transporting hostages arrived in front of them. The 12 hostages who have been released on the 5th day of the extended truce are currently undergoing a medical checkup after being handed over by Hamas. Hamas militants have released a video showing hostages held in Gaza being handed over to the International Committee of the Red Cross. The footage shows Hamas gunmen bringing some of the hostages to a square in Gaza city of Shajaya. The armed operators can be seen standing around the vehicle with the hostages before Red Cross officials arrived to take them. Before Tuesday's latest exchanges, 50 Israeli hostages and 150 Palestinian prisoners, all women and minors, have been released under the initial truce agreement. Two Thai nationals released by Hamas were welcomed by other Thai former hostages and the Thai foreign minister at an Israeli medical center. They were greeted by Thailand's foreign minister, who arrived in Israel to accompany the first group of hostages back to Bangkok. The group of 17 are due to land in Bangkok tomorrow. Heads of U.S. Central Intelligence Agency and Israel's Mossad are meeting in Doha to discuss the extension of Israel-Hamas truce. Now, this meeting comes as the truce was extended by 2 days on Monday. CIA Director Bill Burns has met Qatari officials as well as his Israeli and Egyptian counterparts to push for a broader hostage deal that could expand beyond women and children. It aims to include negotiations for men and soldiers. Both Egypt and Qatar have had prominent roles in the hostage talks. In recent days, Qatari officials have been speaking with Hamas representatives about how to potentially expand the hostage release deal. After a 17-day-long struggle, all 41 workers trapped inside a collapsed tunnel in India's Uttarakhand state have been successfully rescued. The rescue workers drilled through the debris of rock, concrete and earth to reach the trapped workers. They were pulled out on wheelchairs through a 3 feet wide steel pipe. The entire process to pull out all the workers took about an hour. Ambulances stationed right outside the site transported them to a hospital. North Korea has claimed that its recently launched satellite has sent back detailed images of the White House and the Pentagon. The existence of the images has not been independently verified. Just last week, North Korea claimed it launched its first reconnaissance satellite. It said that the satellite was designed to monitor US and South Korean military movements. So far, Pyongyang has not released any images, raising questions about how capable the new satellite actually is. The spy satellite is believed to have been made possible with the help of Russian technology and has sparked a debate at the UN Security Council. However, the leader Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin have denied striking any arms deal during their summit in September. A Russian court extended the detention of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich for a third time since he was taken into custody in March. Gershkovich was arrested on charges of espionage that the reporter has denied. The extension of the detention ruling took place behind closed doors. Authorities said that the details of the trial are classified. A video provided by the court showed Gershkovich inside a steel cage. Russia's Federal Security Service alleges that the journalist was acting on instructions from Washington. The security service claims that Gershkovich collected information on state secrets. However, Russian authorities haven't given any evidence so far. Finland is closing its border with Russia for the next 2 weeks after accusing Moscow of using migrants as pawns. Finland has sent a large influx of asylum seekers that it has blamed on Moscow, which it says is punishing it for its close ties with the United States. Finland has accused Russia of funneling migrants from Yemen, Afghanistan, Kenya, Morocco, Pakistan, Somalia and Syria into Finland. So far, about 900 asylum seekers crossed into the nation this year, as per the Finnish border guard. Now, this is a dramatic increase from less than one per day previously. Finland shares a 1,340-kilometer border with Russia, and this border also acts like EU's external border. Norway's armed forces released footage showing technicians preparing F-16 fighter jets for transfer to Romania. Romania had agreed to buy 32 F-16 fighter jets from Norway in the year 2022, adding to the 17 acquired from Portugal since 2016. According to information on the Norwegian government's website, the jets will be delivered in 2 batches in late 2023, that's this year, and early 2024. Being a member of the NATO and EU, Romania raised its defense budget 2.5% of its GDP this year, and this came in response to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Newly appointed Foreign Minister of United Kingdom David Cameron attended his first NATO meeting. The meeting was attended by US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and counterparts from Germany, Turkey and France at the NATO headquarters in Brussels. On the agenda was how to keep up support to Ukraine and an upcoming summit in Washington next year. Speaking before the meeting, NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg urged members of the alliance to stay the course in supporting Ukraine. The meeting takes place at a time when Ukraine's major counteroffensive against Russian forces failed to yield any substantial progress.
We're all waiting, Bill. We're all waiting. You'll hear it.
Democratic members of the U.S. House of Representatives attempted to compel a vote to remove Republican Representative George Santos. Santos has been embroiled in scandals since his election in 2022 and is accused of corruption. The move, known as the Privileged Resolution, calls for a vote to be held within 2 legislative days. Republicans hold a slim 221 to 213 advantage in the House, where a 2/3 majority is needed to approve the move. Santos earlier survived a vote to oust him on November 1st, but on November 16th, following a report by the Republican Majority Ethics Committee, its chairperson, Michael Guest, filed his own motion to expel Santos. Argentine President-elect Javier Milei and his delegation is in Washington. Milei is set to meet U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan His team is meeting officials from the International Monetary Fund. This to explain Milei's economic plans, which include dollarizing Argentina and shuttering its central bank. Javier Milei is set to take office on December 10th amid a looming recession for South America's second largest economy. Argentine workers protested in Buenos Aires demanding better pay and social protection amid a triple-digit inflation. The demonstrators also criticized the International Monetary Fund. Argentina is currently facing inflation nearing 150%. A recession is looming while net reserves are a negative $10 billion. Argentina has to repay $44 billion in loans to the IMF. Over 1,000 migrants are using one of Mexico's most historic cathedrals as a staging area while traveling north to the United States, making it one of the focal points of the nation's migrant crisis. About 1,000 people live in a tent city on the grounds of the Church of Solitude. Most of these migrants are from Venezuela, Haiti, and other Latin American countries. Some of them are waiting for an appointment for the U.S. Embassy in the hope of being approved for migration to the north. Many others have said that they might even enter the U.S. illegally. Bolivians are queuing up outside fuel stations across La Paz as authorities denied dozens of buses, trucks, and other vehicles congregated in the streets and service stations in the capital city. In addition to the fuel scarcity, there is a cap on the amount of petrol people can buy at the station. President Luis R. has attributed the price increase to the effects of the ongoing wars between Russia and Ukraine and also between Israel and Gaza. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman welcomed Brazilian President Lula da Silva on Tuesday in Riyadh. The two leaders held a series of discussions aimed at strengthening cooperation in many areas. Prince Mohammed and his Brazilian counterpart reportedly discussed regional and global developments as well as investment prospects. The two leaders also oversaw the signing of a memorandum of understanding in the field of energy. Saudi capital Riyadh on Tuesday will host the 2030 World Expo. It defeated rival bids from Italy and South Korea, with a pledge for an expo built by the world for the world. Saudi's bid prevailed after a year-long lobbying campaign that caused anger among its Italian rivals. The World Expo is a month-long showcase event attracting millions of visitors, aiming to respond to the current global challenges. Hosting the Expo is of immense importance for Saudi Arabia in order to showcase the kingdom across the globe. After the deadly shooting in the United States, Vermont, Burlington's mayor called for community-wide support of Palestinians, Muslims, and Arab neighbors. People of Vermont joined a candlelight vigil at the intersection of Pearl and Church Streets. People still showed up to show their support despite the frigid weather. Deforestation in Brazil's Cerrado, the world's most species-rich savanna, rose to 3% from August 2022 to July 2023. The Environment Ministry and the area destroyed in last 12 months is the largest since the year 2015. It said that 75% deforestation took place in the states, and roughly half of the savanna's vegetation has already been destroyed. with much of it converted to farms and ranches. According to government data, deforestation in the Cerrado region had already risen to a 7-year high last year, and this has destroyed a vital habitat for threatened species and released large amounts of greenhouse gases that could drive climate change. An electrical storm and hail hit the central Peruvian city of Huancao earlier this week, flooding the streets as well. State media footage shows water running down a street, with firefighters and volunteers struggling to drain water from flooded homes and schools. According to local authorities, the floods have affected more than 10 houses, while 5 have been completely destroyed. Flash floods inundated roads and homes in Australia's New South Wales. Heavy rains are expected to lash Victoria State tomorrow. Flood water destroyed the Mogo Bridge. People also prepared sandbags to help residents shore up their properties. Emergency service conducted 7 rescues in the last 24 hours. Fierce storms killed at least 3 people on the Russian and Crimean Black Sea coast on Monday, while hundreds had to be evacuated immediately. According to Russia's state news agency, 1 person was killed in the resort city of Sochi, another in the Russian-held Crimean Peninsula, and a 3rd person on board a vessel in the Kerch Strait, the strait that separates Crimea from the Russian mainland. Storms have been raging in the Black Sea since last week. Videos have been doing rounds on social media showing large waves sweeping over the seafront, a town near Sochi. The streets of a Crimean town were also flooded. Uber is opening its platform for London's iconic black cabs for early next year. In recent years, London's black cab drivers have blocked the streets in protest against the online cab aggregator service. They argue that Uber's app-based ordering and demand-sensitive pricing threaten their livelihood. Black cabs are the only London vehicles that can pick up passengers from the streets and can be booked from other online platforms as well. The new service, which will be rolled out in early 2024, follows nearly a decade of tensions between the two parties. Under the new arrangement, Uber drivers will be offered jobs with a predetermined price range. China's local governments have issued about $21 billion in special bonds this year, a move to inject capital into struggling smaller banks faced with a deepening property crisis and economic challenges. Authorities aim to contain spillover risks. The value of these special purpose bonds has more than doubled from 2022, signaling a profound shift. Analysts warn that despite the substantial funds raised, smaller banks face a significant capital shortfall of an estimated 2.2 trillion yuan. Meanwhile, the local government debt is already at 76% of China's economic output. Popular short video application TikTok is in the process of obtaining an e-commerce permit from the Indonesian government. This initiative comes in the aftermath of Indonesia's ban on e-commerce transactions via social media, posing a significant challenge to TikTok's investment plans in Southeast Asia. With 125 million monthly active users in Indonesia, TikTok, owned by China's ByteDance, aims to capitalize on this massive user base by venturing into e-commerce. The company is reportedly exploring partnerships with local firms, including talks with e-commerce giants.